So you are preparing to read Great Expectations. This classical novel looks so thick it'll take me years to finish, you may say. It may appear to be a daunting task, considering the 59 chapters ahead of you. However, like a poet who places words and symbolic meanings within a poem to achieve desired effects, an author does not write that many pages without reason. If you give the book a chance, you will see that, more so than the television shows you watch, it has many interesting elements that will captivate you and, at the same time, reflect much underlying messages of Victorian society in England, as well as the many sides of human nature and the different facets of society that are relevant to us even to this day. First, some background information regarding the novel's publication. Great Expectations was published in 3 volumes in 1861 during the English Victorian period. This Victorian serial novel appeared weekly in a newspaper from 1860 to 1861. To those living in the 19th century, the Victorian serial was written for entertainment and to be talked about like the modern soap opera of today. Readers were eager to get their hands on the 10 pages of story published each week as events unfold and keep them guessing. Most readers of the serial were members of the working middle class who were, like the characters in the novels, looking for the betterment of life embodied by the serial. Its continuing story told of the lengthened vision of life in the Victorian culture. Similar to society of today, Victorian society was divided into 3 social classes: working class, middle class, and upper class. The working class, being the bottom class, consisted of men and women who performed physical labor and were paid weekly or daily wages. This is the class from which Pip comes and from which he seeks to advance. A second class, the middle class, included those who performed mental or clean work and are paid monthly or annually. This is the social class in which Mr. Jaggers, Pip's guardian and the lawyer of Magwitch, belongs. The last and the highest social class of the 3 in which a person could belong in 19th century England is the upper class. Members of this social class did not work because their income came from inherited land and investments. This is the class from which Miss Havisham comes. It is also the class which Pip tries to advance to by becoming a gentleman, which he does for a while when he luckily inherits a fortune endowed by a benefactor. Just exactly whom this inheritance is from, you're going to have to find out for yourself. The roles of men and women were defined in Victorian society to meet their materialistic needs and moral values. While men worked extensively outside of the home, women took care of domestic affairs by caring for children and managing servants. A typical husband was intellectual, strong, and active. The ideal wife was passive, fragile, and emotional, subservient by all means. Most women climbed the social ladder by marrying to a higher class. During the time which the story takes place, women who inherited land from their fathers were required under law to surrender all of their properties to their husbands upon marriage. Women literally owned nothing after they got married. Dickens used the marriage of Mrs. Joe and Joe Gargery and Miss Havisham's broken engagement to make some of his many social commentaries about the Victorian middle class in Great Expectations. As to what the social commentaries are specifically, you will have to find out for yourself. So what is the big deal about a broken engagement? In Victorian England, a lady's reputation means everything to her, and marriage was the chief purpose of womanhood at the time since little education was available for women. They generally married up, if not equaled, their social ladder. As a result, very few marriages started with love, but a woman's life wouldn't be complete without a marriage. The engagement is a long ritual for the man during the Victorian era. The man first asks the father permission for the proposal, and then asks the lady for her hand in marriage. An engaged couple is indeed happy. However, if the engagement is broken at any time prior to the wedding, the woman's reputation will be ruined for the rest of her life, meaning a second marriage for her would be near impossible, and a marriage is really all that a woman lived for during the Victorian period. However, if she is indeed rich, she still retained all of her possessions. Now for a sneak peek at the book to get you acquainted with the novel. As the story begins, Pip, whose birth name is Philip Harrop, lives in the countryside with his sister, Mrs. Jo and Joe Gargery. Pip faces constant emotional and physical abuse from his sister, while his bond with Jo is one of endearing friendship. In the story, you will see that our protagonist makes misjudgments about people and endures and overcomes many challenges that contribute to his personal growth. He meets some pure-hearted people whom he eventually comes to love, as well as those who have a dark side to their characters, seeking to bring harm to others. As we will learn about Pip's development as an individual, we will see that he is a confused young boy who eventually becomes a man, having learned about wealth, love, death, and true friendship. The type of growth undergone by Pip throughout the novel makes him a complete person, the type of person whom serial readers in the Victorian period wanted to be. Although the novel was published in 1861, events in the novel take place during the early 1800s. The first major event in Great Expectations takes place in December of 1812, when Pip was 7. Pip's arrival in London at the beginning of Volume 2 takes place in July 1823, the opening of Volume 3 in late 1828, and the last page in 1840. There are many messages inscribed within Great Expectations that you, the reader, have to decipher as you read the text. They are, of course, for you to discover and for us to study as we read along. In a way, then, the book is kind of like a scavenger hunt in which you read and search for profound meanings within. The more insightful messages you find, the more you learn about the many true characteristics of human nature and the society in which we live. This book has components such as friendship, love, betrayal, self-growth, and, did I mention a broken engagement? With tones of humor and that of seriousness at different scenes, combined with a long list of interesting elements, Great Expectations has a complex plot that unravels like the layers of an onion. In understanding the novel as an active reader means making connections to the text with information you now have learned and what you have previously experienced. Also, knowing the background information about the society within which the story takes place will help you better understand the issues, make connections, and find these messengers. Have fun scavenger hunting!